All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about something that's on everyone's mind: retirement wealth. What does that word even mean? And more importantly, how do you figure out where you actually stand? We're going to make this super practical using real numbers and a couple of simple tools. So let's dive in. So picture this. You've just retired. You're feeling pretty good about your finances. Then your neighbor Gary, who, let's be honest, probably isn't Warren Buffett, leans over the fence and tells you, hey, you're doing okay for yourself. It's a nice little compliment, but it kind of makes you wonder, is doing okay really the same thing as being wealthy? I mean, are you just getting by, or have you actually built a truly secure retirement? That's the real question. And today, we are going to get you an answer. And here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what wealth even is when we talk about retirement. Then, we'll look at 3 tiers the financial world uses to categorize it. After that, we'll benchmark your net worth with some real hard numbers and give you 2 powerful tools to calculate your own status. We'll also talk about why it's not just about the numbers, and we'll finish up with what to do next. Okay, so let's start with the word itself, wealth. It gets thrown around so much that it's almost lost its meaning, right? Because what you think of as wealthy could be totally different from what someone else thinks. And this just nails the problem perfectly. You know, your cousin buys a jet ski and feels like the king of the world. Meanwhile, some hedge fund manager is stressing out because he only has 4 yachts and his buddy just bought a 5th. It's all relative, and that's exactly why we need a better way to think about it. Luckily for us, the financial world has already put a lot of thought into this. So let's look at their framework. They break it down into 3 distinct tiers, and this gives us a much clearer picture. So, tier 1 is comfortable. This is where your expenses are covered and you're not constantly worrying about money. You can breathe. Next up is affluent. Here, you're budgeting a lot less and you have way more freedom to do what you want. And at the very top, you have high net worth. This is where your money isn't just sitting there. It's structured, it's optimized, and it's actively working for you. These are the goalposts we're aiming for. All right, now for the fun part. Let's put some actual dollar signs next to these tiers. It's time to see where different net worth levels actually place you among all the other retirees in America. Let's start with the big one, the classic, $1 million. You know, hitting this milestone in your retirement savings officially puts you in the top 20% of retirees in the entire country. That is a huge accomplishment. But what does it actually mean for your lifestyle? Well, if we use the standard 4% rule, that $1 million nest egg will generate about $40,000 a year in income. Now you add your Social Security on top of that, and you are looking at a very respectable, very comfortable retirement. But in most parts of the country, this is solidly middle class, not necessarily what most people would call wealthy. Okay, so what happens when we double that? Having a $2 million nest egg bumps you up into the top 10% of all retirees. And at this level, let me tell you, the feeling of financial security really starts to change. That $2 million gives you about $80,000 a year from your savings alone. Add Social Security to that, and you're easily clearing 6 figures in annual income. By pretty much anyone's definition, congratulations, you're wealthy. You have some serious freedom and flexibility. But then there's the next level, the real threshold for what a lot of people think of as generational wealth. That starts at $3 million, or even more. Getting to this number puts you in the top 5% of all retirees. So here's a quick look at those benchmarks all together. The real key here is to see how that annual income just explodes as you move up the ladder. You go from a comfortable retirement to one with some serious financial freedom, and then eventually to the point where you can build wealth that lasts for generations. Okay, so those are the big benchmarks. But how do you figure this stuff out for your specific situation? Let's look at 2 really simple but really powerful tools you can use right now. First up, we have Fidelity's Savings Multiplier. The basic rule of thumb here is to have about 10 times your final salary saved up by the time you retire. So if you made $100,000 a year, your goal is $1 million. If you hit that, you're squarely in that comfortable range. But if you blow past it, say you've got 15 or 20 times your salary, well, that is a very strong sign of true wealth. The second tool, and it's a favorite in the financial independence movement, is the 25x rule. This one is just beautiful in its simplicity. It says your target number for financial freedom is 25 times whatever you expect to spend each year in retirement. See, this isn't about being rich. It's about being able to sustain your lifestyle forever. So here's how you use it. It's super simple. First, figure out your estimated annual expenses. Then, Just multiply that number by 25. That's it. That's your number. So if you spend $60,000 a year, you need $1.5 million. And here's the magic. If your nest egg is bigger than your 25x number, your money is probably growing faster than you're spending it. Now that is wealth. But hold on a second. Being wealthy in retirement isn't just about hitting a single number on a spreadsheet. There is some really important context here that can change the entire picture. Let's look at what else really matters. And this is a huge one, the difference between net worth and income. You've probably heard the phrase house rich and cash poor. That means your net worth looks great on paper because your house is worth a lot, but you have very little actual cash coming in for day-to-day expenses. A truly wealthy retiree has income that easily covers their expenses. Remember, your house can't pay for your groceries. And there are a few other pillars too. The wealthiest retirees, they usually have very little or no debt, especially no mortgage. They have multiple streams of income, not just one. They have a rock-solid plan for healthcare, which is the great wealth killer. And finally, they have a healthy relationship with money. They're not anxious about it. They actually enjoy it. And on top of all of that, there is one final thing that changes everything: where you live. $1 million in a place like Tennessee can fund a genuinely wealthy lifestyle, but that same $1 million in San Francisco or New York City, it's going to feel a whole lot more modest. You've got to do the math for your own situation, not some national average. Okay, I know after hearing all these big numbers, some of you might be feeling a little anxious. If you feel like you're behind, first things first, just take a breath. The most important thing is that you're thinking about this now. It is not too late. Here are 4 incredibly powerful steps you can take. Max out your 401k, especially those catch-up contributions if you're over 50. Take a hard look at your expenses and see where you can trim. Think about delaying retirement, even for a year or two. The impact on your portfolio can be enormous. And finally, delaying when you claim Social Security can give you a much bigger monthly check for the rest of your life. So at the end of the day, retirement wealth isn't just one magic number. It's a mix of your savings, your income, where you live, and frankly, your mindset. But now you have the benchmarks and you have the tools to figure it all out for yourself. So that just leaves one question. What's your number?